Hello everybody. Right, so I hope you're well and that life is treating you kindly. If you haven't watched the videos before, I channel a team of beings. They can be Lyran, Lemurian, very often Sirian and Arcturian. And I also speak my own soul language. Sometimes these are aspects of my higher being, and often they're angelic energies that come through, or even dragon energy sometimes pops in, which is lovely. So, right, so prior to the video, I do automatic writing, so I write down their messages and then relay those to you. And then I'll go into live channeling and bring through light codes, often along the theme of the video, but they will find their place within your own energy field and give you whatever it is that you need. And that's why you can watch the codes many times, and each time they will give you something different. Okay, so the message this week was about forgiveness. And they said, you know, they've talked many times about living in a time of exposure and the corruption and deceit, the betrayal, people's lack of integrity, or as organisations, elements of society's lack of integrity has been coming to the forefront recently, and this will continue right into 2024. So they said, what is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is change, and to bring the entire collective into alignment with the frequency of love, which will then be reflected back out into society as we create new societies, new ways of doing things, new ways of living in communities, ways that reflect that love vibration. But they said, you know, during this period where things are being exposed, of course, we are going to have some negative reactions in terms of our emotions and so on. And this is very natural. These things are being brought to the surface by this process. So we are going to feel, they mentioned anger, resentment, horror and sort of shock at the things that come out, the things that we realise have been happening. And in some cases, even hatred for the perpetrators. And they said that, you know, this is all very natural, but it does no good to kind of suppress those reactions, because then they only fester and they take root. And then what we will carry forward from this process is that those negative vibrations. And we will then manifest those into the future, so that process of change will not come to fulfillment. So, they said, you know, hand in hand with this exposure, once we have given voice, bore witness, brought everything out into the light and kind of called out those organisations, called out those individuals, then the forgiveness element is absolutely key, vital, in fact, to the process. So they said, after all, without forgiveness, there cannot be any change. There will only be endless condemnation. And sometimes where those negative feelings really do take root, then there can even be a desire that unfolds for, revenge was the word they used. So revenge. So there's a difference between speaking our truth, acknowledging and exposing what has been going on, and then seeking revenge. The two things are very, very different indeed. So they said what to do. Speak the truth, expose the truth, and then pause and allow for a response. Bear in mind that as individuals, we are capable of massive change. Don't be tempted to make sweeping judgments. So for instance, you know, where we have let's give some examples. Banking practices exposed, the behaviour of various political parties, business organisations. Within those organisations and parties and so on, there are individuals. And they said there are a multitude of reasons why each human being does the things that we do. So not to make sweeping judgments about individuals that may have been caught up within these things for a variety of reasons, and these things can be very complicated. So to remember that we're all unique and to treat people on that basis. So I thought that was quite interesting. They said give everybody a chance, you know. So very interesting. First of all, you know, allow people to have a response, and that can take time. Bear in mind that we're all capable of massive change, not to write anybody off, not be tempted to make sweeping judgments about individuals, and to bear in mind that we're all unique, okay? And there are many, many complicated reasons why people behave what they do, and those things can change. We can change. So they said, what is the overall aim of this process? It is that both as individuals and as a collective, we learn to live with love as our guiding force, that we step into love as our dominant frequency. And that, and to remember that actually for every single person, that is our divine frequency. Okay, some of us have just strayed from that. Oh, in fact, we all stray from that at some point or another. Okay. Excuse me. So they said throughout this process, extend the opportunity to change, extend the opportunity for growth for all. That comes back to the idea of not writing anybody off, doesn't it? And remember that as we each individually change, so does the vibration of the collective and the world that we see around us. Okay, so they said, you know, don't worry that those that don't wish to take that path for whatever reason, that will become apparent, and gradually over time the frequency of light and love will become the majority. Okay, so we just need to trust that that is the case. And in the meantime, practice forgiveness, and aim not to fall into long-term negativity. So it's okay and natural to have the responses that we do as these things come to light, but don't stay there. Because we'll only bring down our own frequency, and as they explained, bring that into the future and manifest that. So leave space for change, you know, keep open-hearted, yeah, keep optimistic, give love, they said, give love room to blossom. Okay, so I thought that was a lovely message, actually. Yeah, and I'm sure that we all have areas in our lives, experiences in our lives, as well as, of course, we are all going through this period of exposure on a macro level, on a worldwide level, and in the societies that we live in. We all have an opportunity to apply this. So they're going to, I'm going to go into channeling now, go into channeling the codes, and of course they will be around this frequency of love and forgiveness, and forgiveness is an aspect of love. Okay. Oh, just reminded me. Also, they did say towards the end, and I didn't write it down because they were just sort of talking to me, but forgiveness is one of the hardest aspects of love to demonstrate and to feel genuinely from a heart space. So sometimes we can act in a forgiving way, but it can be a bit of a charade, and actually that's not really how we feel in our hearts. So these codes are to develop and encourage forgiveness from a heart-centered place, genuine forgiveness. Okay, all right, I'll begin. E proya sakunte shayata le secondary at the yashatatara, that decantotomatela second. E proya makaya la sekeyanara yatayasha, embroya sokumaya la sele yatakanana. Embroyare con mahana ya selateasha, embroya canaya la sekeyanha, emoro. Embreya sekaya ya kaya hino huyo, ekia haya na hasakaya taja. Embraya purumbra, esekea takaya na haya na yashadara. Embraya so kumbara apele sekete yashaya. Esekea haya na yatalea sakundrorutsu kuntashamatara. Eyakaya na yasaya la seketo shamatara. Embroyo shot de kumbraya sakanda. Ele sekete yashayara. Sha te yasta kantara matala. Sha te kente shia khoi ga makhia na khaya khaya ta yasa. Sha yesu khoi makhia na. Sha ese ke yato khama. Sha ese ke yato oya koyama. Eya na khala sekente yara. Sha ete ya morrote ke yasa kantala. Imprea sekente yasa ke yana. Soy ruyo shukumboala, embraea seketea nala, frasta kitejea, resto koyamaha, shakia taya sakata, raya puroya sukuntamaya la sakata, shatea tanara, yetea sete, ahuyo morrea sekete, reseke, shat. Yeteke yaha, seke yahumala, yete yashanana, shea comproya sakanda, yaka, la seke, yata yasata. Sha, to shoot to mata, la seke shot to mata. Ele kayamahayanara, ese comora mala, sakayana yara, yes, a shoya mahaya, la say. Eya kaya mahaya, ese kaya kaya no kaya 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 naha, ese kaya naha kaya kaya naha, ese alaya, yoshoyo, yoshoyo kaya malase ya kaya, oroya ya tayasa, ambrata, ese kaya muriata ya shana la saka, ete ya se ya kaya na mata ya la seketeya, etore mura, ese keteya. Embraya sakun puroyo shukunto tatara. Emprete que se atara. Emprete que se atacantala satariata she. Embraya se que yala. Yeshe opoja yahina kayaka. Itikit ke hriataka. Itikit tarayataka. Itikit ushakataka. Riatak katayasaka. Tititia. Tititia riasakatara. Eshikatatara. Toshta, toshta, tariasta, toshta. Rita tasta, etiketata, eseketata, Moraya sakaya, eleseya kayana, embroya sakayana, yalayashe, eteyakoroya mahale, seketeya shate, maha, eseke, akuyanoko, esekeya, akayanako, esekeya, etele sheketeria mala, yosho yanama, yakete, ma. Good, good. Okay. Now, I just wanted to say a few words. There are some strong indicators that social media platforms are changing their algorithms around those of us that do spiritual work. That includes people that even do things like tarot and astrologers, and there seems to be that they're exercising their preferences and changing the algorithm so that our work may be a little bit more harder to find in future months. We'll see how this plays out. But in the meantime, if you subscribe and share so that others can subscribe, but also hit the notification bell on the YouTube channel, then you're much more likely to come across this work and the work of others, of course, in future months as things unfold and play out. It is a little concerning, but we must trust these messages are here for a reason. They're brought through by spirit and other beings for our own good, and they're in the light, and we must trust that process. But there are things that we can do on a practical basis, and certainly subscribing using the YouTube channel rather than just going through social media channels is one of those things. Good. Okay, now you know that you can get in touch with me for personal sessions, whether that's for guidance on your spiritual path, for activation, understanding your personal journey, or for healing, of course, things that are blocks, energetic blocks that you may be experiencing in certain aspects of your life. You can get in touch with me via my email address. I always put that into the the YouTube videos, so that no matter what happens, you can always get in touch with me. Okay, but of course you can also, if you prefer, message me via Facebook and follow me or friend me on there. Okay, good. So I never know quite when I'm next going to see you. I simply bring these videos through when they have something to share with you. So in the meantime, look after yourselves, look after all those that you love, and take care.